Hello to everybody out there in this great big world of social media. This is your brother Dana coming to you from the city of Chicago. I want to say a special Shabbat Shalom to all of the precious chosen people of the Most High Yah who are out there, those who are the true Hebrews. And you might be wondering who I'm talking about. Well, I'm talking about the individuals that we in this country have called African Americans, blacks, colored, and all the other names we have given them. But the truth of the fact is, according to the Bible, our black brothers and sisters are the true chosen people of God. They are the true Jews. Tonight's message actually really hit my heart from a post that I read, and I am always struggling with the fact that my fellow white evangelical family members struggle with removing the various monuments, Confederate or statues, Christopher Columbus and throughout this country, knowing the true history of those individuals and of this country. And so when I read this post, it really inspired this message with some help from the Most High Yah. But let me read it to you. It says, Germany doesn't have Nazi monuments to remind citizens of their history, but instead they have memorials for the 6 million Jews and others who were murdered. The United States doesn't need statues of Confederate generals to remind us of our history. We need monuments for Nat Turner and Harriet Tubman, to name a couple. And so I thought about that, and then I thought about what an altar or a monument meant in the Bible. So I want to give this message out to my white evangelical family members, that where your monuments are says a whole lot about you. So what is a monument? It says in the dictionary, a statue, a building, or other structure erected to commemorate or celebrate a famous, notable person or event. Notable person or event. It's a building and also a structure or a site that is of historical importance. So that's what a monument means. It's something that celebrates, commemorates a famous, notable people and or events. And in the Bible, it's also what we could call maybe an altar. And what were altars all about? Well, yes, it was laying down sacrifice. In the evangelical family, we come and we kneel at the altar. And so God ordered, and this is just going to be one example, God ordered Joshua to build an altar in Joshua chapter 4. And the story is from 1 to 24, but I'm going to just start at verse 19. The people came up out of the Jordan on the 10th day of the first month, and they encamped at Gilgal on the east border of Jericho. And those 12 stones which they took out of the Jordan, Joshua set up at Gilgal. And he said to the people of Israel, when your children ask their fathers in the times to come, what do these stones mean? Then you shall let your children know Israel passed over this Jordan on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the waters of the Jordan for you until you passed over, just as the Lord your God did when he dried up the Red Sea, which allowed Moses and his people to pass over, so that all the peoples of the earth may know that the hand of the Lord is mighty, that you may fear the Lord your God forever. So here Joshua built a 12-stone altar from Jericho, or from Jordan, because the Lord God told him to build it so that when your children question their forefathers about events in their history, their forefathers would be able to take them back to this monument, to this altar, to tell their children how the incredible things that the Most High Yah did in drying up the Red Sea for your ancestors, to drying up the Jordan and tearing down Jericho and all these other things that the hand of our God did for us to possess the promised land. And so now I want to look at white evangelical Christians, and I want to look at white America to see what we have built to take our children back, to remind them of. We have Christopher Columbus. And the reality about Christopher Columbus is he was a rapist. He probably should be known as the first person to start the child sex slave business. He gave girls to his men to rape. Killed Native American Indians. Millions. And then we have the Confederate statues and monuments. Men who murdered slaves, raped both the male and female slaves, took slaves' babies and used them as bait to catch alligators and crocodiles so we could make shoes, purses, and various accessories. Individuals that hung our black brothers and sisters and rejoiced while watching their breath be snuffed out because of the rope we put around their neck and hung them from a tree. That's who we bring our children back to. Because I guess in the time to come, when you need to encouragement or you're in a place of fear about the future, that's usually when you run back and you can see, what did we do to get this far? See, God's people ran back to an altar that showed the mighty hand of the true and living God that dried up the Red Sea and dried up the Jordan and tore down the walls of the Jericho for his people to go into the promised land. And we go back to see what God did for us, and I don't see God doing anything for us, because what I see are people that use guns and used all kinds of things to destroy, to kill, to rape, and to murder those that we had to get what we got, this land, and then to build this nation off the backs of blacks called slaves. And so I want to look at Mount Rushmore, another monument that we white Americans and evangelicals and even Trump stood in front of, proud to remind you of our forefathers. George Washington, the first president, well, his dentures were made from slaves' teeth. And then let's go next, which is Thomas Jefferson, which was the third president, and he raped child slaves. And then let's go to the third individual, Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th president. And he said this: the only good Indian is a dead Indian. And then let's go to Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president. And he had the largest mass hanging of Indians. He hung 38 Dakotas. And that's the monument of Christian white America that you're bringing your children back right now to remind them that this is what we did to get this land. And now that you are being fearful, or we might be in the process of losing it, we need to remind our children the very way that God granted us. Yes, God did. The God of white supremacy made up through the religion of Christianity. There is another monument that I wanted to mention to you, and that was Lot's wife. That when Sodom and Gomorrah was going down, God told Lot and his wife and those with him, do not even turn around to look. But yet Lot's wife at one point stopped and turned around, and she was immediately and instantly turned into a pillar of salt. Let me read you this, which is very fascinating. In the Bible, Lot's wife is a figure first mentioned in Genesis chapter 19. The book of Genesis describes how she became a pillar of salt after she looked back at Sodom. She is not named in the Bible. That's why she's called Lot's wife. She's not even named in the Bible. And I wonder if that's a reason why the United States of America is not mentioned in the Bible. Or it actually is. But the United States of America is AKA Babylon the Great. And what is going to happen to Babylon the Great according to the 18th and 19th chapter of Revelations? Exodus chapter 8, verse 15, it says, when Pharaoh saw there was relief, however, he hardened his heart and would not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had said. White America, where's your heart? I am sharing to you that we possess in this land amongst us, our black brothers and sisters that you know them by, are the true Hebrews. Their 400 years of being oppressed under our oppression is up, overdone. And now God, not the God of Christianity that says, I'm going to rapture you before all hell breaks out. No, the true God that brings justice. If he brings justice to his chosen people in the book of Romans, Paul even said, don't get arrogant, you who are the wild branch, Gentiles, or even if we're just strangers. Don't get arrogant. Because see, what we think was God's blessing on America was actually just God using America to make his people jealous, and that season is over. Because see, white America and our forefathers, to me, have the same spirit as Esau. Christianity wants to say that Esau was this great man that was out in the field working hard while his brother was a deceiver and a manipulator and conned his older brother out of his birthright. Well, see, the opposite is the truth. He wasn't out in no field planting some corn so he could go and feed the hungry and the needy. He was doing exactly what white America has done since our foundation, going out to conquer, destroy, and then name it and claim it as ours. And then colonize it underneath the white supreme God of Christianity. And destroy their religions, their heritage, their languages, their identities, their beauty. That's what Esau did. He didn't care about God. Just like white America, will you care about God when the white God of Christianity doesn't answer your calls for help? When the judgment of justice of the true and living God begins to fall on this nation because it's time for us to let God's people go? My name is not Moses and my name is not Aaron. I don't care what my name is, but I'm declaring from the word that we should have already let God's people go. Proverbs 26:11 says this, as a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to his folly. Where are you returning, white evangelical America? You're returning to the statues of the Confederates, to the monuments of people who are evil doers, people that are like vomit. And see, the reason why I rejoice as they come down is because I'm not going to return to the vomit or to the folly of my forefathers. But I'm going to denounce their evil. I'm not returning to the vomit of our history. I'm going to acknowledge it. And see, to you, my white evangelical family members, you're one of your biggest excuses, which does not match up with what else you teach, is that God is not going to hold you responsible for what your forefathers did. Well, I didn't mean to go here, but I'm going to go here really quick to ask you to help me then understand this, because you have always taught these two things, that if Christians, or this is Christianity, allows homosexuality and allows abortions to happen, then this nation will be cursed. Well, what about all the heterosexuals who have never had an abortion? So now you're telling me that God will punish all of us because of those two sins, but God will not punish all of us because of a massive sin called murder, rape, hate, destruction that we brought upon the Native American Indians and our black brothers and sisters. So okay, let me, even though that don't go with the rest of your teaching, let me go ahead and say, all right, he's not going to hold you guilty for that. But you think he's okay with you bringing your children back to the statues and the monuments of evil? You're taking your children back to the vomit. And the only way you would not return to any type of vomit is if you repented. Because once you truly repent, I can't get close to that vomit. Because the stench of it makes me so angry. So even if I say to you, you're not guilty of our forefathers' actions, I'm going to say this now. You're guilty for running back to the ways of our forefathers to keep what your forefathers stole. Shalom.